back to Vickie's Country Home. The garden is really starting to get going, and one of the ideas with having a garden is being able to put up all the extra food to save it for later. And a lot of those, it means canning, some dehydrating. But one of the challenges I have being off-grid, I have an Excalibur dehydrator. I also have one of the round American Standard, I believe, dehydrators, and both work great. But both use power, and usually things are not done the same day, so they would need to run through the night. Well, I can't run them through the night because of power usage. They draw a lot more power than we can use at this time. Our batteries for our off-grid house are aging. They are still good, but they just don't have as much storage as they used to. So for me to use that kind of power, especially during the summer when I'm watering for an hour and a half a day, which uses a very power-hungry water pump, it doesn't make sense to use my dehydrator. So I'm looking for ways that I can reduce the power usage, but still get some things dehydrated, not heavier items, but some of the lighter items I'm gonna try out. And herbs are one of those. But the other one is my sugar snap peas. This time of year, I'm getting tons of these, way more than we can eat at the moment. And I normally freeze them, and they are okay, but they do lose something in texture. They still taste good, but they're just not what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna do an experiment. I don't know how these are going to dehydrate, but we're gonna try it out. And the way we're gonna do that, and again, this is all an experiment because I just ordered this. This is a hanging dehydrating rack for outside. And I do know from the reviews that you have to be very careful when you're opening it up because it is, and I may not ever get it back into this cute little bag. We'll have to see about that. But this is a mesh bag that you can hang and have multiple levels of drying rack. Now we've got plenty of sunshine and we have plenty of airflow also. So I figure if any place if this is gonna work, it probably would here. Now I can already feel this trying to expand. So I'm gonna stand back and there it went. Like I said, I don't know if I'll ever get it back into that cute little bag. But what this is, it's a mesh screen and it's got 6 different drying levels. And each level has its own zipper closing. Again, I have no idea if this quality is any good. I don't know anything, but we're gonna find out. We're gonna experiment with this. So I have just a shepherd's hook put up here. And I just have it set in some cinder blocks because I don't want to poke holes through my landscape fabric, which we have decomposed granite over it. And that's mostly to keep vegetation away from the house for fire reasons. But I don't want to poke holes in it if I don't need to, because those holes then make a place for weeds to get deep roots. So I don't want to do that. So we're just going to give this a try this way, and I think it'll be fine for what I'm doing here. Long term, if this works, I'm going to put this solidly in the ground and go from there. So what you do is you open the zipper, and I'm just going to loosely spread these sugar snap peas on that mesh screen. Because I want plenty of airflow around them. And I did not prepare many because I don't want to waste them. I want to see if this works, and if it works, I'll be doing more. And these peas are so tasty. Love them. But they just don't keep. So I have 2 levels that I've spread out the peas on. And I'm going to go get some herbs to throw in here too while I'm at it. So I'll be right back. So I just went and gathered up. I've got a little bit of lemon balm and I've got some peppermint. And I'm going to put that in here on different levels and see how they do. I do know with the lemon balm, these thicker stems really have been a problem in my regular dehydrator, and it takes a couple of days before they dry out. So if this works, this will be wonderful. All right, I've got 5 out of the 6 layers that I'm using, and this should keep the insects out, which is great. I also read you could use this indoors. It probably doesn't work as well because you won't have as much airflow, but you could still do it, I think. But I'm also concerned that the wind could be a problem. We'll have to see about that. There's been mixed reviews, but I'm going to see if it works, and I will let you know. So, another experiment on the homestead. I love doing this stuff. Well, this is one thing I was wondering, is the wind was blowing this almost sideways, and it's not that strong. So, what I have done, we'll see how this works. I have put a fair-sized rock down in the bottom layer, moved the stuff out of there up to the top, and it's not pulling down on it because it's close enough to those cinder blocks that it's not going to tear it, I don't think. But that hopefully will keep it from blowing sideways. We'll see how it goes. All right, I put this out at about 9 this morning, and it's about 8 o'clock tonight. I ended up putting 2 rocks in the bottom, and they seem to be holding it steady in our breeze. The herbs are drying pretty well. So far, the peas have not dried a lot, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to leave this out overnight. Well, this is it works, and it's also maybe not quite as efficient in some ways. All of the herbs were mostly dry after one day, This is day 3, and I've left them in there just because I want everything thoroughly dry. The peas, they're finally getting dry. Not all of them, but some are getting nice and crispy, like that one. But some are still pretty soft. So this is kind of a mix, and what I would say is if I try this again, I'm going to cut them in half, and I may still do that to some of these just to give some more air exposure. But the herbs I'm going to pull out because they are just completely dried. And that's the lemon balm that I had trouble getting the stems dry in my Excalibur, but they're pretty dry, so I'm happy with that. The mint is completely dried, and I did resort to putting 2 rocks sitting on top of those cinder blocks on the bottom to keep this from blowing around in the wind. So yes, it works. I don't know how the peas would do in my dehydrator because I've never tried them. And they are getting dry, and I have tasted them. They taste good. And then I'll have to try and see how they come out to put it in some kind of dish. But so far it's a mix. I decided to wait a week before I finished this video and uploaded it so you could see what it's looking like and how it has worked overall. So here's my update. I finally got the peas to fully dry. It took about a week, but they turned out great. They're good as a snack. I haven't cooked with them yet, but we'll try that. But I have prepared some more, and I found the trick to those is to cut them in halves or thirds so that they have more exposure to air and they dry much quicker that way. So I have some more going here. Up here, I have some chives and some cut up chive scapes. And I'm going to try them like this, but I'm probably going to cut them into smaller pieces, chop them up. But they might go through this mesh, even though it's fairly fine. They get pretty small. So I'm going to try to do what I am doing with tomato peels, because I canned some hot sauce the other day. So these are dry, and I'm going to take them in. Let's see if it'll focus. I'm going to take them in and grind them up with a spice grinder to make tomato powder. But these did very well. But I used parchment paper because they were wet and sloppy when I finished peeling the tomatoes. So, you know what? I was worried that they'd all blow off of it, and actually they didn't. So I'll probably use that for the chives also. And right here, I have a whole bunch of rose hips that a neighbor gave me. And they were probably going to take a while, but that's okay. I'm going to leave them here till they're done. And then I harvested some stevia from the garden yesterday. And I'll tell you, it's almost completely dry, even leaving it on the sprig like that. That's actually half a day, because I took this down and took it inside because we had a threat of rain, and we are going to probably get rain today, so I'm going to fold this up and take it in. And then up here, I have some sage that a neighbor gave me, and that's pretty much almost dry. So what I'm going to say is this works very well for herbs. It has worked very well for the peas, and these rose hips are drying too. It's not your Excalibur. It's not your Garden Harvester, whatever that brand is, or Nesco, any of those. It's not going to be the same. But it uses free energy, and for me, that's a very important thing. So I am going to give it thumbs up. I think it's a good thing to have. It doesn't replace my other dehydrators. I probably wouldn't use it for tomatoes, peaches, anything like that. Although I might try some of my peaches in here. We'll have to see. Again, those would need to be on parchment paper because of the juices in them. But this works. I had to make sure it was secure from our winds, which the rocks took care of that in the bottom. And I have to watch the weather. But those are small things and easy to take care of. So it's actually kind of funny because I was talking to Mrs. Lori at Whippoorwill Holler yesterday, and I was telling her all about my hanging dehydrator, and she says, "Oh, I got one too," about the same time, but we didn't know that. Very similar, different color zippers. That's pretty much it. But great minds think alike. So I know she's put out a little on Facebook of it, so I'm sure you'll be seeing some of her dehydrating, and I'll keep you up to date on how this continues to work. So that's my update on this hanging dehydrator, and I hope this is helpful to someone else. I was really not sure when I got it because of the mixed reviews, but for me, I think it's going to solve one of my problems that has been bugging me because I couldn't do any dehydrating almost at all this year due to storage capacity of it in our batteries. So this allows me to dehydrate some things, and that makes me happy. I can store them for use in the winter and not waste anything from the garden. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and share it with your friends if you like. God bless, and we'll talk soon.